Greetings, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad you're here. Thanks for tuning in. Tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have a conversation about tontines. We're going to talk about how I would structure a tontine and what it looks like. I also have some additional tips and different ideas about it. Stay tuned.
Greetings. My name is the Revolutionary Matron, and my show is called The Learning Curve. I broadcast on a network called KWAZ Radio. There are other hosts on the network I'd like you to meet.
Greetings, everyone. This is Koku from the Bitter Medicine Podcast, inviting you to tune in to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed here belong solely to the respondent, and they do not necessarily reflect any broadcast networks, affiliates, nor sponsors. The Learning Curve is a broadcast created for the benefit of my global community. Black is a consciousness. Content is being used for our commentary, research, criticism, education, scholarship, teaching, preaching, and news reporting. No copyright infringement is intended. I will make enunciation mistakes. I will give you my opinion about the information. And if you ever ask, I will send you my source.
All right, everybody. So the link is in the chat. If you feel like coming up to discuss anything, the link is in the chat if you feel like coming up to discuss anything. I want you to know that I am not an expert, nor am I a financial planner. I'm just a young lady on the internet that was asked a question about how would I structure a tontine. I was told I should do a live about it, and I want to share with you my thoughts, opinions, and perspectives about it. Now, a tontine is basically like a susu. I'm talking specifically about a Cameroonian tontine. Greetings, forecast. I'm so glad you're here. I'm answering your question. Please feel free to come up and let's discuss this as I go through it, or come up and ask any questions you may have. And there's that dog again. Hold on, give me 1 second. You guys give me one quick moment.
You're tuned in to The Learning Curve on KWAZ Radio with the Revolutionary Matron.
All right, so a tontine or a susu. I'm talking specifically about a Cameroonian tontine, which is a financial tool used in Cameroon, is popularized there. They often use these instead of traditional banks. My anecdotal observation is that tontines are used to invest in assets like education, buildings, property, or even buying a business that will benefit the whole group, while susus are used as a financial savings plan. You may want a Susu because they're effective at leveraging smaller amounts of money that a group has access to in order to purchase something like a big piece of equipment or to pay off a bill. Both of them give you all the money at once, okay? And that's the amount of money that you would have saved over a course of time, usually a year. However, what people do with that money is often very different. When I say education, you may pay for somebody's college tuition with your tontine money. You may pay for someone to go learn a skill with the tontine money. You may go and buy a building with the tontine money. So it just really depends on what they're talking about. Questions to ask yourself as you organize this financial tool. What is the purpose? Is it general financial support, investment, or are you interested in making community loans? You need to write out your bylaws, get them notarized, and publish them to your members. You are essentially organizing what's called a membership organization. You may not need to file them with your state as long as you trust your membership and do not currently need to have the organizer of your group be bonded, licensed, and insured. You need a mission and or purpose. So you need a mission statement or a purpose. This is going to tell the world why you created this endeavor. This is just a sample of a mission statement. It's not fine-tuned or refined. The mission of the Our Matron Tontine is to provide support for its members. The Our Matron Tontine will rotate investments amongst its members. Or purpose. The purpose of the Tontine is to facilitate for the capital investments necessary for business and job creation within the community. The Our Matron Tontine will organize funding for approved opportunities. You should be a lot more specific, whether you're filing paperwork or not, but you can be as specific and as detailed as you want. This is just my example. You need to have a membership establishment clause, which is going to say how people come into the group and what the rules are about their membership. In my tontine example, membership is open to individuals committed to financial responsibility and group solidarity. Each member must agree to the rules and regulations outlined in this agreement, and new members may only join if with the unanimous consent of the current members. So everybody has to agree to let you into the tontine. I have some guidelines that I thought up for new members. Membership is limited to 12 or 24 people respectively. A married couple may join as one person, each serving as the representative for the other, or as two separate people. If you select two separate enrollments, you must each individually qualify. That means that each person has to go through these next steps. You must provide real ID compliant identification issued by the state or federal government. You must have a credit score of at least 600, documented by an Experian, Credit Karma, or other likewise credit granting agency. If no credit score is available, you must be sponsored by a member that is in good standing. You must maintain current contact information at all times, and you must provide 2 references that are not in the tontine. So if you're a husband and a wife, you need 4 extra people that can vouch for you and your credit worthiness with this organization. And then the membership, the people that are already a part of the tontine, will vote on it, and they'll decide whether or not they want to let you in. In my hypothetical situation, members would contribute $500 on a biweekly basis for a total of $1,000 per month. You would fill that $500 in with whatever amount you were talking about, and that $1,000 a month with whatever monthly amount you were comfortable with. Your total investment would be $12,000 for the year we're talking about. Members must be current by the 15th of the month. If members are not current, they will be assessed a $250 late fee. Late fees are used to fund discretionary loans loans made by the Our Matron Tontine. If members are not current by the first of the following month, their membership may be revoked. If members have received their investment and default, legal action may be taken to recover funds. The member agrees to pay fines, legal fees, and the original investment received. So as you can see, I'm trying to be as comprehensive as I can and trying to explain these ideas. You need to have a payment schedule. The payout order has been established and all members have reviewed and have received a copy of the payout schedule. A listing is available for your review at any time upon request. Each member will receive the full investment amount of $12,000 when it's their turn. Members must continue to make their monthly contribution until the cycle is finished. This cycle lasts 12 months and is a 12-month obligation. If a member defaults, legal action may be taken to recover funds. The member agrees to pay fines, legal fees, and the original investment received. Greetings, Sister Raw and the elders listening with you. Thanks for tuning in. I decided that this organization also needed what's called a hardship clause because we don't know what's going to come up and different things happen. A hardship occurs when a member cannot make their monthly payment. If a member dies, their share is heritable, meaning another person can take your place. Each member should discuss life insurance policies and effective estate planning to ensure their share is covered upon death. If the member has not received their payout, they are eligible to participate in a different tontine cycle when their finances have stabilized. The tontine amount will be adjusted to account for the missing member. If the member has received their payout, the funds received from the tontine must be repaid. Legal action will be taken to recover the funds. The member agrees to pay fines, legal fees, and original investment received. Greetings, MG2. Thanks for tuning in. You need to elect a secretary and a treasurer. So in my organization, I said that the secretary shall be elected by majority vote. The duties of the secretary are as follows. They have 5 things that they need to do. They will take notes at meetings, provide copies of meeting minutes within 15 days of the meeting date, maintain copies of membership agreements, make the payout schedule available, and notify members of meetings within 10 days of the meeting. And that's it. That's all the secretary does. They are basically where we house the information about the agreements and they document things. The treasurer, okay, is also elected by majority vote, and they have 4 main duties. They will oversee fund collection and disbursement. They will record all transactions. They will produce reports as requested for the membership to show all transactions. And the treasurer has 7 days to produce the requested reports. And lastly, they will provide financial reporting at every meeting. So as you can see, it's really straightforward. It's not complicated. If your organization decides to make loans, because remember I mentioned that we make discretionary loans in this group, the membership may on occasion review requests for loans from our matron Tontine. Loans are subject to review as if the borrower is being admitted to the membership. That means they have to go through the same qualification process. And the borrower must also submit a business plan. They need to tell us what they're doing with the money. The membership will review the business plan and approve or deny the loan based on the merits of the plan. If a member would like to make a loan instead of receiving their payout, they can present a borrower to the membership. Loans are made at a flat 0.5% interest rate per month. In other words, if $12,000 is borrowed, $60 is due on the loan monthly. Upon receiving the loan, the borrower decides if they want to pay $12,720 at the end, or if they want to pay the $60 per month and then the $12,060 in the last month. Now, with all that said, that is a quick, fast, and easy way to set up a tontine. But Amos Wilson said that a people must trust, be dependable, and have respect for each other if they are to develop a viable economic system. He further states that when they, the people, have those kinds of relationships, they have a social system and they can build on and they can grow economically. I say that relationships are the basis of all economies. And you have heard it said, your network is your net worth. That means that the way that we're connected to people, the way that we relate to each other is going to dictate how much money we can or cannot generate. The real question being asked when we talk about tontines and susus is how do you create trust, express dependability, and respect in a group? And I have some definitions. Trust is defined as a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of something or someone. Dependability is defined as the quality of being trustworthy and reliable. Respect is defined as admiration for someone or something deeply as a result of their abilities, qualities, or achievements. The reality is that we don't know each other as Black people. We've been trained to look at each other negatively and with suspicion. And anyone that comes along with a good understanding of Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People can con you. And it happens every single day. And that's because we want to be a trusting people, but if we see someone or we experience someone, we think that that person is a good person. That's why grifters exist in our community and run rampant. Trust usually starts really small, so build it incrementally. One thing you could do is start with smaller amounts instead of starting with this $1,000 a month that I'm talking about. You could start with $10 a month for a year and see how that goes. The problem with this is that modern day scammers have used this method to earn trust and they have betrayed our people. So this may or may not work. I also recommend that you be more vulnerable and open to people, that you show yourself more, but we'll talk about that in a moment. We could require members to pay for an insurance policy whose premium is deducted from your payout. So when you get your $12,000, you also get a life insurance policy that's payable back to the group upon your death. You could name the group as the beneficiary, and you can include this in a policy that has whole life insurance that also gives a benefit to your family. So you can buy a life insurance policy, and one portion goes to the group, and the rest of it goes to your family. This kind of serves as a double coverage because your family is also getting something out of this since they would be losing you. Dependability is demonstrated, so show something. You can begin by showing people what you're really about in an authentic way. Be vulnerable. Relationship requires risk. How can I be close to you if I don't know you? This is where you open yourself up to actually answer questions, to talk to people, to put them in a mindset of understanding what the goals are. And what are others saying about you? Do you have any testimonials about the work that you do? Are you showing the work that you want to do? What can people tangibly put their hands on that you have actually built or created? What are they actually investing in? And lastly, respect is earned, not given. How do you show up in the world? Would you respect the persona that you are projecting? Be a person of good character and moral uprightness. Be charming, be open, be available. Without these characteristics, you're just spitting in the wind. This is why knowing where you come from is important. If you know what we have done, you'll know what we can become. The Black equals African community has money. It's just poorly organized. We should also consider asking ourselves these questions. Would you use your share to open a business? Could you find an extra $1,000 in your budget per month for 12 months if you knew you were going to get $12,000 all at once? What about $500 a month for $6,000? Would you buy an insurance policy to guard against theft, and debt? Excuse me, theft and death. Greetings, APTV. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, this can be done. There are numerous ways this plan could work, but it all starts with you, your mindset, what you actually think about Black people. Do you know what we have been so that you can imagine what we have become, what we will become? So that is one part of it. I also wanted to show you guys these Black facts from the Pew Research Center. Give me one moment. All right. So this is from the Pew Research Center, and they do different types of studies. They talk about Blacks, single race Blacks, multiracial Blacks, biracial Blacks. I'm focusing in on the single race Black people when I go down here and talk about the money. The average household income of a Black family without any Hispanic origin or admixture is $52,800. Half of the households in this category earn more than that, and half earned less. About a third, or 36%, earned 75,000 or more, and a quarter of that, about 24%, made 100,000. But the reality is that the bulk of our people make less than $75,000. We have to figure out what are we going to do and what type of tools are we going to put in place for the people that make this less than 25,000 and this less than $50,000. These are the people that we should be trying to help. So, all right, guys, what do you think? Do you think this is something we could do? Do you think that the larger problem is that we don't trust one another? Do you think that a tontine is the answer? I think that a tontine can be the answer, and it can fund businesses and ideas and different opportunities for our people. But the reality is that we need to trust one another. Greetings, Forecast. How are you tonight?
Hey, how you doing, Matron?
I'm good.
Um, well, first of all, I'll just say, that was a great presentation, and you actually answered my question during your presentation. But I'll still say, but to answer the questions you was just asking, I think is a solution and an important one, and I guess I'll ask you anyway because I know you. I was doing something kind of similar, but I didn't know what a tontine was, But and my brother MD2 gave me advice, and he was right about it. And I know you was like a part of it a little bit, and I was going to say like because I kind of felt like you was like, well, like you was with it, but like it was like not really right. But like looking at your presentation, I see like I did it without no plan and didn't organize it the way that it should. So I was gonna ask like, what were some things that you thought was like wrong with like what we was trying to do before, But like I said, you kind of answered it, but I'll ask anyway.
I don't think there was anything wrong with what we were trying to do before, and I think it can work. I think that we just have to be clear in expressing our ideas about what it is that we're doing. A lot of people can come up with $50 a month to get 600 at one time. A lot of people can come up with $100 a month to get 1,200 at one time. A lot of people can come up with even that $1,000 a month that I was talking about at first to get $12,000 at one time. The challenge becomes, what are we going to do, or what plans do we really have? Is this an ongoing thing? Do we have any agreements in place? Because we've been in contact with the Europeans so long that the trust we would normally have with and for one another has been broken down. So we have to use some of their tools like insurance policies or legal documents or notarized statements in order to reestablish and rebuild that trust that we've lost until we get to the point where we're more comfortable with one another. Um, that was why, even in the one that I talked about in my hypothetical situation, you need to have you and two people that you know that can, two people as references. Because if I can't find you, that's what debtors do. If they can't find you, they contact those other people in an attempt to reach out to you. We don't have the benefit of extreme social pressure like some African villages have because we don't have close knit communities. But there was nothing wrong with the plan that you came up with. You know, I think that it was a great idea and I think that it could work. I think that even with the trying to raise money for the water systems that you were doing, that was a great idea. You know what I mean? I think that we just needed to have it better organized so that more people knew about it so that they too could contribute.
No, yeah, that's very true. Because, like, one of the first things you said was the whole mission statement, and I had sort of something like that, but it was definitely not organized the way it should be. And, like, the plan was to, like, it was like $5 a month type of thing, but like that was a good idea too when you was like to get a certain amount. But I was looking at it so like we would find different businesses and like not only we would work together as a community. Like, all right, we're not going to like what we were saying Target back then. Everybody stopped going to Target at this time and go to here and try to organize, But another thing that I'll ask is like, which I guess you mentioned it too with the secretary and all of that stuff, but like with the money, because I also don't want to be responsible for people sending in the money and stuff like that. Like, so it's even how you going about finding somebody to do that or somebody who's willing to do that that you would trust. Like, what do you think about that point of it?
So they have different types of insurances. You can get someone actually bonded so that if they run off with your money, the insurance company pays you back. Okay. So you get them bonded for a certain amount of money. And once they are bonded, it's like a credit. It's like, oh, so if they run off with $200,000 of my money, I know I can get it back because they're bonded and they're gonna pick them up and take them to jail. It's just that simple. That's why we have to use some of these Eurasian tools that have been implemented in place to prevent the scamming of our people. But if you deal with somebody that's like, yeah, I'll take on that responsibility and things like that, you can get them bonded.
Well, my bad. You still going?
Nope, go ahead.
Oh no! I was about to say because I never even thought about that. These is all great things, because I'm like I thought about something like that again, but just more or because the way it was before, it was just like, yo, who wants to be a part of this? But like what you're saying as far as the two references and like what do you mean by that? Just like people outside of
People outside of the Tontine. So, for instance, my mother is deceased now, but my father is alive. So I could give you my information. I'm the applicant to the Tontine. I can give you my father's information and I can give you my brother's information. Those are family members and close people that know me that would have access to me if I decided to like abscond with my portion for that month once I got my share, because that's something that you want to guard against. So you want to try to get people that are, in community with these people, especially if you're doing something like online. You want to get people that are in community physically with them so that if something happens, you have a backup plan. So your treasurer is bonded, okay, and insured. So in case they run off with the money, then you have legal recourse. You have legal recourse with the person that actually is a part of the tontine, because they have signed a contract that they went to their bank and got notarized, because most banks do notarizing for free. And then you if you have an insurance policy, that was the last part of it, is to have an insurance policy that if they die or if something happens to them, then that insurance policy pays their portion of the tontine, and their family also gets a portion. So having an insurance agent is something else that's key to either be a participant of or understand the inner workings of your tontine. Just having that conversation with them so that you're able to express to them why you're getting a life insurance policy on this person, because you can get a life insurance policy for anybody that signs off on it.
No, yeah, that's facts. That's facts. See, it's like, yeah, you're right. I was like super unorganized. It was just some like spur of the moment, like not even spur of the moment because I thought about it, but I didn't even. You definitely need a detailed plan, like you was talking about. And I got like two questions, but before I ask those two questions, like speaking of like money and like grant money and stuff, like, um, is it ways like that this will help you get as like a organization? Because I saw you say something about like you can register it because it sounded a lot like a nonprofit. A lot of stuff with the nonprofit rules involved, but like getting grants and like payments and stuff like how do you see that like working off of something like this?
I think that if you organize it as a social club, then your organization can get grants, but you probably won't be able to get grants to do the initial funding for it. But you can do grants to get your name out there to do work in the communities where your people live. So they may not finance the tontine itself, but they'll finance our matron in order to go feed the homeless. They will fund our matron to go give presents to children or give out turkeys or something like that. You have to be careful though, because the granting world is changing. It's on its head. It's upside down right now because Donald Trump is in office and he's more about funding businesses. So if you got someone that wanted to take a loan from the tontine and the tontine had the money to give them a loan, you could take that information to the Small Business Association. And a lot of times, the Small Business Association will walk you through the process of opening your business. They won't walk you hand in hand, but they'll give you a lot of resources to walk you through that process to get them to a viable business structure so that they can pay the tontine back the money that the tontine funded them initially.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, you got some like great answers like well all of this.
I try really hard.
I see you like I see you put a lot of thought in all of this. Is like great answers, but all right, so and all right, this is the thing here though, right? This is one of the problems that I saw, not from my end though, how other people, right, is like egos get involved and stuff like that, and dealing with people actually, even the people that is there who wants to do it, right? You have one brother like, oh, we should listen to this other lady who don't have anything to do with this, and then you have this other brother saying, oh, we should use this for this. I believe in like so okay, we can like use some kind of election kind of thing, vote on it, and like let the people who actually money it is decide as an organization. And that's why I'll be like kind of against like the whole dictator thing and all of that too, because like where somebody can just say, oh no, we can just do this. I don't agree with that necessarily. But just the problem with the interaction and interactions with the people, and it's a lot of black people is negative, you know what I'm saying? And like, what do you think about that?
I think that negativity and suspicion comes up because the Eurasian has supplanted the African consciousness. I think that when ego comes up, when I come up, that's that rugged individualism coming out. I think that we have to get to a point where we are creating a community that has emotional safety and trust, where we are making decisions that are effective for ourselves, our family, and our community, which, if we're a part of the community, then it's going to be good for us. Do you know what I'm saying? Um, I think that a lot of times you have to do things by by membership in this organization. You would have to do things by membership agreement, by majority rule. So it would be a simple majority, and you have to have a tiebreaker, because with 12 people, you can have the insurance agent as a tiebreaker, you can have an outside agent as a tiebreaker, you can hire an arbitrator to be a tiebreaker, but with a group of 12 people, you have to have a tiebreaker. And once you establish that in your establishment clauses, then you're all set.
And you like, and you saying like lawyers, and like, are these like outs, like who is these like lawyers are you saying like we should use?
Oh, so if you just do a Google search, I did a lot of Google searches to ask questions. So I did a Google search for bonding insurance agencies, and insurance agencies that will bond a person. And then when I'm talking about lawyers, even if you had something like um, legal aid that used to be $60 a month, I don't know what it costs now, but legal aid, you can talk to an attorney, tell them your situation, and they can answer your question for you, and that's included in your monthly plan, without having to go out and hire a lawyer or have one on retainer or anything like that.
Oh, that's good. See, yeah, that's a because like I know you mentioning like the insurance and like getting like the bonds on people, like that's what I meant, and not lawyers, insurance broker. So it's like you mean like an outside like insurance company, just like a one of them firms is what I was meaning to ask.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, just one of those firms. You just tell them that you are trying to bond and insure your treasurer for your organization, and that if they say, well, how much money do you deal with? I would tell them $144,000 annually, because that's, 12 times 12 is 144. So I would tell them 12,000. I mean, 144,000. And I would just move on from there. Give me 1 second. Greetings, MG2. How are you?
What's up, MD2?
Oh, I can't hear him.
Yeah, I don't know. You muted if you. He might have to go off and come back on. I'm not sure if he.
All right, let me take him off and put him back.
Oh yeah, no, I think he's about to speak.
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear now?
Yes.
Yeah, what's up, MD2?
Oh man, listening to the two of you guys is just a pleasure. You guys make my day, and I've definitely got to give a shout out to Sister Raw, because anytime the elders are in the room, I just gotta I gotta thank you guys. Excellent broadcast, excellent report. I'm glad you're bringing this up, because I want to read you part, and I'm gonna say a part of an article that was out in the LA Times. I think it was the LA Times back in 2019. And even though a lot of tontines were deemed "quote unquote" illegal back in the day, because of in the early 1900s, because they were waiting for folks to die, and I wouldn't doubt that there were murders, in order to make folks the last survive. It's like a game of Survivor, or or King of the Mountain. But the thing is things that are used correctly, and I'm glad you brought up insuring and bonding to make sure because one of the biggest problems is you're in a trustless environment. Nobody trusts anything. Of course, this is a European environment. So they have to come out and make sure that, hey, how are we going to make sure that money, nobody absconds with the cash? That just recently happened with a situation with a family member where there's a program that they've been working on, and the guy that's in charge, they're trying to find out, hey, what's up with the cash? And the thing is that's to be expected unless you were insured, bonded, or you have some sort of an escrow type of scenario set up to where no one can get to it, and the money goes for that particular purpose over a certain amount of time. That's why the blockchain, i.e. Bitcoin, was invented, because it is a trustless form. You could use insuring through the blockchain to make sure that money goes to the purposes that it is, irrespective of what there are ways to do it. And I love the insurance and bonding that you use. But let me read you something, because this is how Asians, we know that this happens. You've got churches that have, like you brought up the Susu. A lot of Hispanic and Asians have their own version of a quote unquote Tontine or Susu, where somebody comes in from the country, they need money, they might get a loan, they might get a quote unquote their version of a grant. But the thing is where they differ than what a lot of our folks is because everything is profit driven. Okay, even if you're giving out turkeys to the poor, there has to be a profit incentive. You're living in a profiteering environment, unfortunately. It would be great to be altruistic and be able to just give out things and say, I did for the brotherhood of man. But in this kind of environment, everything, including charities, are profit driven. So there needs to be some remuneration of capital coming back to the initial investors, or if it's not money, some sort of product, good, or service that they get down the line because of what they did that will bring in money. A lot of charities might be giving stuff out, but because of that, it opened up opportunities where they could get more money and therefore paying them back for what they did earlier. We're seeing the same thing happen with their so-called government with Musk and Trump. He gives Trump $200 million. Trump goes ahead and destroys their entire federal apparatus to pay him back, so he can get overnight capital swaps. So the thing is there's different ways around it. One thing that differs with our folks is because even though we might have a profit-driven motive, it's not necessarily, because everyone wants guaranteed or what we call riskless profits, a riskless environment or a risk-free rate, for lack of a better term. And a lot of folks say there's no such thing as free money. Yes, there is. What I mean by free money is a lot of things, we're promising somebody something and they're looking for that. That's a gamble. But if you have a way of making sure that you're getting returns, irrespective of if that one gamble doesn't work, then the arbitrage or the hedge against it, say, you wanted to do the water system. Well, that's going to take a lot of money. And a lot of folks, it's a gamble because there's only a one direction. But if you have an arbitrage or a hedge, and that's what I was talking about with international trade, international and getting other types of capital, brother forecast, what you're doing is you're hedging against, or an arbitrage against, say that one thing does not work out with donations or whatever else. Now you've hedged it to where you are actually getting something on the other side. That is a profit-driven type society. And that's the thing I've been wanting to tell a lot of black folks, because we have, like I said, I've given so much, I've given too much to too many for too long for too little. And I'm talking about black radio stations, black this, black that. I've donated to just about every scholar that exists, you name it. But a lot of it was a one-way investment. There was no hedge and there was no real guaranteed profits. There are such a thing as guaranteed profits in a risk-free environment. It's just how you either arbitrage what you're doing or hedge it. So the thing is, when these Asians, and what they do is they do that with their tontines. And I'm gonna read you this thing with Cambodians, and that's why Cambodians have a Cambodia town, more than one. There's one less than like half a mile from me. There's many Cambodian towns because of their use of a tontine. Let me read this to you. It came out in 2019. It says here, my eyes are shot, so it takes me a while to be able to adjust to the screen. I can't see very well. It says, if you've ever been to a Cambodian-owned donut shop, fried chicken restaurant, or jewelry store, there's a good chance it was financed by a tontine. In Cambodia, tontine, quote unquote, is the name given to a rotating savings and credit association, or what they call a ROSCA, ROSCA, an ancient practice that is different versions all over the world. The general concept is that by contribution to a monthly pool that pays a lump sum to a single member, people can make and receive loans as well as earn interest. Remember, profit driven. The lending circles are especially prevalent in the Cambodian community, where many people don't use banks because of language barriers and a distrust of institutions caused by genocide and economic instability in the aftermath of the Vietnam War. In Los Angeles, diverse neighborhoods probably wouldn't exist today without Roscas, i.e., Tontines. In other words, I'm gonna give you a little what's happening. A lot of black neighborhoods are, because the Philippines are using the same thing right now. Philippines, Cambodians, Vietnamese are doing the same thing the Koreans did, and that's why black folks have been running to the street, because we're not looking outside. You know how banks treat us, or how our relationship. I don't like to use the word treat. Our relationships with banks and financial institutions. We're not hedging ourselves. We're going for that one little risk or that one little investment, thinking that might help us. You know, like black folks that invested in hidden colors and everything else and not hedged what they were doing. But let me continue. It says, which are often most run by women. Yes, actually, their Roscas or their Tantines are run by women. It says, when banks wouldn't lend to minorities, the Kai, it's called, it's a Korean town, the KYE, helped Korean town business owners cluster in central Los Angeles. The Hui, HUI, helped finance Chinatown. And the Tanomoshis helped start some of the Little Tokyo's early businesses. There are Latino tendas or cundinas, which are basically thing, and what I've mentioned previously, the Filipino paluwagans and Ethiopian ikubs and South Los Angeles family investment teams were formed after the LA riots to help black people buy property. So the thing is, and that was the ones that the Ethiopians did. Roscas are called Tontines in Cambodia, Cameroon and Nigeria because of French colonization. But in Europe, the term tontine refers to a different financial instrument created by the Italians, i.e., but it goes on more. But the thing is you can have family versions of quote unquote tontines. Again, you wouldn't, of course, you want to say, okay, let's have this person insured or bonded, but you can also insure and bond by hedging, okay, or having some sort of an arbitrage. That would probably something I would have to research and tell you guys about later and how to do it. I would not do this publicly. But the thing is therefore, if somebody wants to abscond, they cannot abscond. Of course, you want to insure it. That's the first thing you want to do. Any kind of money you put into anything, make sure you insure it one way or the other. That you know that money is not going to go out, I mean, shall we say brother polite, okay? And the many other versions of it. So the thing is, and the next thing you want to do is bond. In other words, I use the term bond, I should say collateralized. Because nothing in terms of anything that you investment in, everything is collateralized. Pawn shops do it, banks do it. Everybody wants to know, hey, we're not just giving that money away. We want to make sure it's either hedged, bonded, insured, or collateralized. So we have an arbitrage or a hedge against whatever happens. And that's what a lot of these other, these like the Filipinos, they just don't give money out and say, okay, this is what we're giving somebody this month. They want to make sure, okay, we're giving you this, but we're getting something back. The mafia did it all the time. So I wanted to give you guys just that little heads up because I'm loving the program.
Well, thank you, MG2, because that is the missing piece that we needed. I looked at the fact that the Europeans used it a different way, and it was this survival of the fittest type thing where they were killing each other off in certain instances. There was evidence of that. And I'm like, that's not how we use our money systems. The way that I saw us use them the most often was to finance a business. And then members would sometimes have a share or a piece of the business, and they would get some of that money back on return and different things like that. But thank you, because this is very, very helpful to the overall conversation.
Yeah, and I'll say this, right, and because I definitely agree, and I got the experience and I learned, and you also need to learn from experience too, to learn the things that you need to learn, right? Because I got to a place where instead of using our money, I can like try to do things to use their money to do certain things as well, and implement. Because the truth is, even with the water thing, it only would have just been helping like one person. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole city needed a whole new sewer system, and like you can't just like right, like just off of that. And like out of I was like, it was like $1,000 or something. I put like 700 or something in like myself, and like everybody who wanted the like refund, like it's sent to them and all of that stuff, and it failed, and of course it was organizations who was able to do that and go down there and like that's why I put my money into, what I'm saying, the people who did it, what I'm saying. But even outside of like the money aspect, because like you get outside of that, right? It's even just getting Black people to even work together on the same page, like to where we are collectively like, all right, we hearing like Matron has this plan of what she's trying to do, you know what I'm saying? So we are, even if it's not even I get it, because like you're right with the whole written part, but just even being on the same page is meeting together collectively as a group of people to be on the same mindset, you know what I'm saying? But we even argue about that, like, because and somebody like, all right, we'd be like, yo, we'll highlight Matron's thing and we'll support her and send her this, you know what I'm saying? And just build different things, even some like the birthday challenge where whoever's in there, you send $1 or $5 or whatever it might be, you know what I'm saying? It was only like 5 of us who was in it, but you get like $25 on your birthday, you know what I'm saying? Like, but of course it's like rules. You can't just get it and then not do it on somebody else's thing. Like even that side of the camaraderie, that's another side of it, what I wanted to build with why I wanted to have like actual meetups and organizations so we can discuss things and learn stuff like actually offline that we need to know as a group, and but even doing that, like, I mean, I get it. I think it's supposed to be a group thing, but like people like feel like you're right. If I create it, then I should be the one that decides the stuff. But I believe in like a group, like it's a group thing. Like you have your business and you tell us about if you want to make grocery stores, I can't make a grocery store for you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's on you. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know. So, I'll just leave it right there.
Well, forecast, no, you have it. You have the African centered perspective because I am because you are, and we are. So the idea of everyone having their own specialization and us meeting up and us really coming together to do things in a collective way is absolutely the African centered way. But we are in, and this is what we sometimes neglect to remember, we're in this Eurasian environment, and we have to put, because of our survival thrust, we have to have safeguards in place to make sure that we survive the environment. And one of the things that continues to happen is because people get cheated in Susus every day, okay? Because somebody reaches out to them and tells them about this wonderful tool and how if they recruit more people, or how if they invest, they'll get more money back, or all these different things. And that's because we're sick and we have to get well. When people listen to these shows, this is a part of the inoculation process. You know what I mean? This is a part of the inoculation process.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just go ahead, my brother. I don't know, but no, y'all, and that's a thing that I did learn. You know what I'm saying? And that's something and like you said, you put me on again, like because that's why I learned from you about the whole grant thing, because it's hard to try to convince somebody. You can't go to the hood and be like, hey, listen, young brothers, y'all need to pull up your pants and all. And MD2 put it, I like the way he put it, like when he was like, I might listen to Elijah Muhammad next week, but I'm going to eat tonight. And it might be a ham sandwich if I get hungry enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it is a thing where you got to learn. Go ahead, MD2.
Exactly. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all.
Oh, okay. Think of it this way. When people invest or even trade or whatever, we call it an instrument of desire. Okay, you have an instrument of use, an instrument of need, and an instrument of desire. And the thing is, when you're doing Susus, Tontines, When you're doing any kind of investment club, even the so-called pyramid schemes, always think that people are going out for an instrument, a desire. They desire something. Like that's why when you have your 401k or something like that, those stocks, you don't need to do that. You don't need to put your money into Apple or Tesla. God forbid. The thing is you're doing it because you desire to get a profit. You desire that, hey, maybe something will do it. Whereas there's an instrument of need. You need food, like you said, a ham sandwich when you're hungry. You need to make sure you got shelter. You need to make whatever things you cannot do without, or else you're not going to. You need to have a place to take a dump. Then you have what we call the instrument of use. Things that are happening all the time that you like. It might be work. It might be a yard sale. It might be, these are things that you don't really desire. They're not things you need, but you could use them to get money, okay, or get resources, or even get friends, or get opportunities. Maybe you get a job or whatever. These are the things that all markets are made of. That's why I like trading markets. And the thing is our folks realize that because we go into the desire aspect of things and not into we're not thinking three-dimensional. When you go into desire, you're saying, hey, I'm going to put this money into this Susu, and maybe I'll get some, maybe it's my turn to get the loan or whatever, and are neglecting the other things that a Susu, a Tontine, an investment club, or any of these others can actually give you. So that's why a lot of our folks put money in behind this project or that project and get disappointed when it doesn't even come to fruition, or somebody, Pookie or Ray Ray runs out with the cash. The thing is, while I'm always saying that you want to make sure that you're in a risk-free environment, even though you're taking risks, the free of that risk is because you're putting the other two things at play. One, the things of need. Okay, if I'm putting that in there, what physical or tangible thing is going to be produced in things as regularly as you're paying that one person to get that loan? What are they doing in order to make sure that there's something physically manifested that can bring investment back to those folks? Okay, Mafia did it. All these agents are doing it. For instance, say if the church, like there's a church, there's like two minutes from where I walk, and they have an investment club. The thing is they bring in a lot of Hispanic immigrants. Well, those immigrants are working, but those immigrants are producing either jobs to make the church real good, because all of a sudden they got that family member who they came in from El Salvador or whatever, or those family groups. Well, they're putting those guys to work. Part of that is taking if something needs to be fixed in that church, or if something needs to be done, they don't have to go to outside sources to get their stuff fixed or get their medical care or something done. They have that within, because that investment that they put in the other folks have made a need, i.e. the physical investment coming back to that church, that makes that church not have to pay too much more going outside sources. Now, in the terms of use, it also makes it to where, like I said, it could be a job, a flea market, more contacts, or whatever else. That is an instrument of use. So what they do is by investing into that one individual, that maybe they said, okay, we're going to make sure your family is okay. Well, that family, now the fact that family has created enterprise, that is bringing more money back. So now they can reinvest. They could bring more money back into that Tontine, or back into that Susu, or back into the Latin America version of it. The thing is when we start thinking in those terms, Brother Forecast, there's a lot of things in terms of, I would love to have the African ideology in terms of how we do things. In this environment, I use full spectrum, African, Eurasian, Latin, or whatever else, and I'll use the benefits and of what these other folks are doing, and be cautious, because nothing comes without a price. Be cautious of the detriments of what it might bring, so therefore we don't put ourselves into a trap. So the thing is when a lot of these things go down, if you have investment clubs, or if you have anything of that nature, it's making sure whatever it is, even though that these individuals will have a payout, whatever it is, whether it's a monthly, weekly, or whatever it is, for a project that you might have. The thing is making sure that the physical, that there are physical, tangible premiums coming back to the folks that invested, even if it's not monetary. It could be information. It could be, connections, whatever it is. The folks that are investing are getting something back just as regularly as you pay it out, or even more so. That's why when people have a 401k, they're always looking at their 401k, because they're only into the desire aspect of it. Apple does not care. Tesla does not care what you think. what your political ideology or if you're African nationalist. All they care about is, hey, somebody is desiring us and pushing us up. They don't care. All they know is this person probably did not hedge themselves. And hey, if we go down in stock like what you saw, the 300 dissipation of their equities today, they don't care because they got your money. The thing is, those who went and put that money in there are carrying a lot because they lost 6% of their portfolio today. The thing is, as an option trader, my thing is options, they hedge risk. In other words, they make your desire riskless because you're getting something back, whether it's through the instrument of need or the instrument of use. I hope that's not too convoluted, but that's just something that I think that would help Black folks when it comes into these these investment programs like Susus or Tontines.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what y'all saying, right? And I definitely learned my lesson, right? But this is my question, and this is what I don't understand. This is what was going to be my last question for Matron anyway. What I don't understand is, right, you take the money part out of it. You know what I'm saying? When we talking about even working together, where we're supposed to have the same goals, or we say we have the same goals, even if you don't even have to put your money into it, but how is it not like beneficial when we're to get on the thing to discuss, like, okay, Matron has this thing going on, right? So she can present whatever it is, even if it's the Black people who have stuff going on and it's amongst ourselves, you know what I'm saying? And you're saying this is what I'm trying to do, like our own group amongst ourselves. You don't have to even put this in or put that in. Or if we're going to focus on this week, you know what I'm saying, as far as like what we're going to do amongst ourselves is not spending our money, or pick a Black business to go flood that Black business. And we're going to all highlight this cupcake thing or whatever, a Black, toilet paper company, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, how does that not benefit you as a individual, especially if you have something going on in a group who actually meeting to discuss like tangible, real things, and where you might get information or you might see, like, how do you? And I've seen because that's why I agree with Matron about the whole religion thing. That's the only thing I've seen Black people get to meet up and give their money to, and go to the book club every week for hundreds or thousands of years, go to a book meeting every week, you know what I'm saying, to discuss nonsense. Well, I ain't gonna say that, all right? I ain't trying to offend nobody, but to discuss the Bible, you know what I'm saying? But
Bro, I'm sorry, I hate to cut in with that, but I gotta answer this for you, Brother Forecast. Is that okay?
Oh no, that's
yeah. Check this out. This is why I brought up the instrument of desire versus the others. Let me give you a scenario. You have two scenarios. You got an investment that'll help all Black folks. Say it's a new medical cure, and you're saying, "Look, let's put this money in, and I think this is going to help us." And we're in an isolationist world where everybody is basically collective individualist and not individual collectivist in terms of their needs. They want their needs met before the needs of the whole. That's just the nature of this European economy of this European world. Unfortunately, Africans now are part of that. Before we were like, we're there for the good of the whole, because the good of us will make sure the good of the whole will work, and then therefore it'll reverberate for all of us. Whereas in this isolationist, separatist, individualistic world, it's like, hey, I'm at the good of the individual before I'm at the good of the whole. That's unfortunate. So therefore, the mindset of desire, folks are going to run toward what makes them better before it makes the whole better. That's just the nature of this unfortunate aspect where we're at. Now, let me give you a scenario. You got this little medical situation where a lot of Black folks could possibly invest in something that'll make us all healthy. $2 a month, and it's good. I mean, it's good for the whole. But then all of a sudden, somebody tells you, hey, this crypto called, Musk crypto, man, it's paying like you've never seen before. It's going through the roof. Man, look at Apple stock. It's going to go through the roof. We got it, So unfortunately, because of that, this instrument of desire, which we chase, and not the other hedges that'll make the whole well, like the instrument of use and the instrument of what we need, folks will be saying, I know that I could go in with this new medical thing that'll cure all black diseases at $2 a month. But God dog it, man, I can make gang loads of money next week because if I invest in this apartheidist Elon Musk crypto, it's going to go through the roof. I got to, I could go look for the hole later and I'm trying to make things better, but I got to go here first. That is unfortunate aspect of this environment we're in. That most folks will go and invest in Apple and Elon Musk Dogecoin before that because it's going through the roof. Because they're looking at that individualism of, okay, I'll donate to our stuff later, but I need this now. And remember, the instrument of need, because of facts that they're looking at this desire that will make their needs better. If I get more money doing this right now, then I can take care of my needs like food or whatever else. Then I can go in and maybe give $2 a month to this thing that'll cure all black diseases. Because now I got rich over here because I desired that and that paid me off. That paid me back. The thing is, that's just the unfortunate aspect of where things, of this European environment. That's why I say that, like when you're saying, I mean, there's so much that are the needs. Like you're saying, religion, for instance. Folks are looking in this ideological thing of, well, I'm gonna give to Pastor, pork chop because that desire will make our church better than the next church, or I might get to God, or my pastor looks good. They're not thinking in terms of, hey, wait a minute, where's the hedge? Okay, where it's the churches that are Latin, Philippine, Asian, whatever else, not all of them, but most of them are saying, hey, we might go into Reverend Chicken Bone, but we best believe that these communities will have our own economies. We'll make sure that our that whatever we gave him, that 5 or 6 of the houses plumbing are going to be good because we brought little Gomez in from El Salvador and he just happens to have those skills. We're getting our hedge, and we've hedged the money that we've given Reverend Burrito, whereas black folks have not hedged themselves in Reverend Pork Chop. Okay, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the nature of the game. If we're thinking in those terms, things can get done. We could still think about all the things that why are we not all on the same page mentally? In terms of like black folks that need in Loudoun County, or Jackson, Mississippi, we should all be on that psychological same page because it will help the whole. Unfortunately, it's not there, but it can be there if you're going to help folks and put that money. You best believe that there must be some kind of remuneration, whether it's money, jobs, information, connectivity, or something else coming from Loudoun County and Jackson, Mississippi, to make sure that you can reinvest back in to Loudoun County and Jackson, Mississippi. We should all be on the same page as a group. Not in this environment, it's not happening because of the desire is personal gain, and the desire is, well, I can do that if I take care of my needs. I hope that's not too convoluted, but that's just where things are at right now.
Well, no, yeah, I know, I definitely understand, and that's what I'm saying though. Like, because I agree with what you're saying, and I'm there with you as far as that goes. Like, and people, but even with that, like, you mean to tell me you can't get 10 black? I'm not saying all black people, but 10 like-minded black people where we sit there and we talk about different investments that we can make or investments that we make with each other, or like the sister who has a smoothie business, we can all order something from her business or something, like, or order something from Erica's business, where this little group of people like can do that. And you can also have things where you do get stuff back, like simple things like, Blue, like shouts out to her who came up with the birthday child. She's good with business too. She does a lot of stuff, but like, you can't, like, the whole birthday challenge, you do, like, you put $5 in, you get however much back from whoever's in it. There's things you can separate, but leaving the money aspect side of it out, what I'm saying? Just like, okay, yeah, you have this part of it, like where you have the Tontine, like where you set it up right. You have, because I was clearly definitely unorganized and I rushed into it and trying to do stuff, and like even the Tontine thing, because I didn't call it that because I didn't know the word before, but that was separate from like the water thing. What I'm saying? That was just something that we was like talking about our water issue, and then it, like, of course we see is like way deeper than that, but like Like, how could you not do, like, how does that not benefit you by like saying this? Like, we all like, okay, we see that Matron has selling cupcakes this month, you know what I'm saying? So we're all gonna buy this, just 10 of us buy cupcakes from Matron, you know what I'm saying? Or if 10 of us do the birthday thing, $10 in, you get 100 on your birthday, you know, and you put $10 in, you are getting something back, you know. But even just the basic stuff of just being like, listen, we're gonna focus on this, not spend our money here in a small pocket. Like, I think that does give you benefit, you know. But I agree with you about what you're saying, but it's two separate things. You could do like walk and chew gum, you know what I'm saying? We can like, okay, they'll do this first, but we can also do this with like the small group of people out of those group of people who are able to think that way, you know what I'm saying? The like-minded people. And that's why I was saying religion is the only thing I've seen get whole groups of people to throw all of that stuff out the window only for Black people. Like you said, other groups of people, their churches even still do what they're supposed to do. Like Jewish, you know, they don't have to be religious to be Jewish, you know what I'm saying? You know, but our churches is the only thing, and they don't even care if they get a door handle.
Yeah, I feel you 100%. The thing I try to get folks' mindset into is, like I said, it's a profit-driven world, profiteering world, but it's more like it's a competitive world. That's why I'm always talking about competition. Here's what I mean: if everybody donates to Matron or whoever, where it could be cookies, cupcakes, or it could be pencils, and and things are working, and folks are like, wow, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, we've done good. Of course, we're on the same page. Now what happens is other people watch that and say, okay, that was altruistic. You gave pencils. But if those pencils all of a sudden are used, or cupcakes or whatever, start bringing those folks a massive profit, the same kind of profit that would be equated to whether they got into Apple or something like that. Not saying they would make millions. I'm just saying that relatively speaking, they're like, wait a minute, I did something and these folks got what? They did, they gave to Reverend Chicken Bone, and Reverend Chicken Bone went ahead. Everybody's, electric bills are paid, not because Reverend Chicken Bone gave them money. It's because maybe they got, their stuff, their businesses went accelerated. Maybe their sons more jobs, anything. They've got some kind of remuneration profit. In other words, they got premium on their investment, and folks would be like, how can I get in? And, everybody's always going to see, how can I get in? Because that individual got that quote unquote hustle or whatever. And that's why, whether it's cupcakes or pencils or whatever else, it's like all of a sudden some remuneration came back from that. But it was a remuneration that other folks want there. It could be a penny. It doesn't matter. It could be something that other folks say, how did you get that? And I want to get some too. That's the whole, what's the name? Pyramid marketing schemes. Not to say everything should be a pyramid marketing scheme. It's just that humans, animals, and everything, I always equate it to popcorn and seagulls. If I could go out there and be altruistic and invest in seagulls by giving one piece of popcorn, you best believe other seagulls will say, where did you get that? And I want some. That's the mentality that the world is at. So whatever you invest in or whatever you do, if other folks see that and say, how did this person get one thing more than me? I want a part of it. They might not be ideological part of you, whereas we all should be on that same page. Unfortunately, as you say, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, churches are like that. You best believe if somebody says, how did you get that? And, you invested in that and that came back to you. Can you put me on the list? And it doesn't matter what it is. That's what I mean by because we desire a lot of things. The thing is the hedges, for lack of a better term, the instrument of need and the instrument of use are those other things that are part of that, that a lot of folks aren't looking at. And I mean, I know it's very abstract, but it's very simple. A lot of what I do is, I saw it. There was this company, I think it was called CCC or something like that. These brothers and whatnot, and they were option traders and forex traders and investing. What they did is a lot of folks got, and gave these brothers money and gave these brothers time or whatever. They taught these people how to do it by themselves. This whole community of Black folks they were doing incredibly well. These Black folks were not on the same page ideology. Okay, they were not. We're doing this because we're Black and we want this. They just knew that, hey, these brothers are making folks not have to re-up to the military. These brothers are making sure that folks that live 200 miles from a lake, they all had boats, and they were in Section 8 one week, and 2 months later they had boats and manicured lawns. They were doing so well because these brothers said, even though you're giving to us, it's not the money that you're getting back. It's the knowledge that you can do it for yourself. It's the fact that you don't have to go in and have Section 8. It's the fact that, Ray Ray and Pookie don't have to re-up to the military because now you got a way that you're able to go ahead and, be quote unquote off the grid. They were so successful in making sure that black folks were doing what they did. Feds came in and put these brothers in jail for 17 years saying that they had illegal securities, which they didn't. But the thing is the fact that other folks saw what they were doing and said, I might not be on the same page ideologically. You might be Nation of Islam, where I could care less about that, but I want in. Okay. Folks always want in on a good thing. And so as long as they're seeing something, whatever you're investing in, that is bringing returns, no matter how small the returns are, but that other person's life who invested is doing better, not only because they've done the right thing and invested in the community, but all of a sudden they're saying, wait a minute, you got one more sock that you didn't have yesterday, and I ain't got none. How did you get it? And I want in. I hope that's not, like I said, it's just the world we're in is a very individualistic mindset. And in order for and for other folks' needs to be met, their desire must be, quelled, for lack of a better term, or their desire must be redirected to where their needs are being met. I hope that kind of helps things.
No, yeah, it does. It does. And I would say this, right? If this was like 1962, I would have joined the NOI, because of the stuff that they was doing within their communities, and they had the power to do these things. That's why I was like looking at all of these organizations who is black, who were able to get black people to do certain things, and the stuff that they brought to it. Now, how they use their money is a part of the problem today, and why it's hard to do that even right now, right? And not to even go on another point, but even because that's what I was saying about other things. It's like, what do you have to pay to get it from other groups of people, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, when we go to other places and other countries and other places, like, we usually take a huge L because black people don't have the same mentality as necessarily we have here, you know what I'm saying? And I usually see and that don't necessarily mean it has to be me or you or any of us though that does it. So that's why I don't disagree with you, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I see the people who have been able to do it with black people who were black, and it's usually on some religious type stuff that makes people like, just say the white man is a devil, you know what I'm saying, or say blah blah blah, and you can get black people to be able to stand up and do these things for themselves, and that's a mentality. I'm like, you can't get a small pocket of people like who's supposed to be, but so I'll stop there. I don't want to make it too long,
No, you gotta get it out.
Yeah. I'm loving this topic. You guys are just, like I said, young folks inspire me like there's no tomorrow. The good thing, Brother Forecast, and one thing I try to tell folks is have products, goods, and services that are competitive. Something everybody wants, needs, can't do without, and ready to kill for. So whatever you invest in or whatever you do, make it to where you get somebody's desire to that other folks who might not be on the same page as why you're doing what you're doing. Because there's a lot of folks that aren't going to be on the same page. You're doing the right thing for the right reasons. There's a lot of folks who are like, well, whatever. I got to watch the game. The one minute they might have their foot in black nationalism, and on the weekends they can't wait for Deion Sanders. Well, whatever. The thing is when you're doing what you're doing, and the folks that you're around are doing so much better. It could, and that doesn't mean that they have more money coming in or whatever. It could be just because of what you're doing. All of a sudden, you've brought premium, or you've brought something that somebody else is going to desire. Even the folks that aren't on the same page, or the folks that aren't thinking, they're going to be saying, how did you do that? Because everybody loves success. And even though that individualistic success, they might not be running around, with benzos or Maybachs, but they're saying, wait a minute, whatever you did, that thing that you did, these folks are benefiting, and I want to know how you did it. Can I get in? And that's the key that I think a lot of black folks unfortunately, have not really seen those premiums. And the reason I say that, if I gave you a list of all the folks that I had given money, black organizations, black this, black that. I mean, I beat up on the good Dr. Watkins all the time, but shoot, when he came out with one of his first documentaries, and I think the only one, I was first in line to make sure that it was going to happen. I was like, how much you need, and I'm there. You could talk about, the irritated genies, you name it. I was like first in line to make sure and went over the top to make sure folks got what they got. Even the so-called, before he became FBA, Tariq Nasheed, you name it. Because I was looking at it as, even though, as I say, it is giving stuff out, everything, and this is the thing I like to let black folks know, everything you do is an investment, even time or the energy or even the information that I give folks. I'm investing in them, so I want to see a premium come back. Not money, but even their product or their project, I want to see something happen with it. A lot of what I do, anytime you give money out, you'll never get it back. You always have to have that mindset. Whatever I give, anytime I give money out, it's like buying something from the store. Either I'm getting a product or I'm getting nothing. It doesn't matter what it is. Even a Susu, one must think in those terms. A Tontine, think in those terms of, this is a risk. I'm not getting anything back from that. Unless you start to think in terms of the hedge value of it or the arbitrage value of it. Here's my version of an arbitrage value. All these different schemes and these different programs and, we're going to do this, that, and the other. My value, my hedge was saying, okay, I want to see what you're going to do with it. I want to make sure that whatever you do, I know I'm not getting the money back, but I want to see results of what you're doing. And most of the folks that I did, I have not seen one result because they went into another scheme. They went into another hustle, another whatever it is. That's the problem that unfortunately, that a lot of our folks have, why not getting folks on the same page mentally or ideological, because it's like, look, we were all going to do this for this good purpose, but that purpose went out like, the little things from Dandelion, when you blow on it and it goes out. Whereas other ethnicities, Asian, Hispanic, and everyone else, their purpose is always going to be there because they're seeing that remuneration. They're seeing whatever you invested in, it's gone. It had flourished. They saw that, okay, it became what it was supposed to be. That's very rare in the African, or I should say, the United States American community of black folks. We don't see, even, again, you're not going to get that money back, but you want to see that thing actually flourish. You want to see, okay, if we're investing in a store, that store better be operating in 6 months. Well, with Dominicans, it's going to be operating. With Hispanics, it will be operating. Asians, there's no doubt about it. As the article I told you about Cambodia Town, it's no different than all the brothers that I put stuff and gave stuff to. My thing was like, okay, if I'm going to give you, whether it's $20 or 10 cents, or what I did with Professor Griff when this very first book came out, my thing is, okay, what are you going to do to expand and be competitive against something? So your book is on Oprah Winfrey. It didn't happen with Professor Griff. Another hustle happened. Not to say it's anything wrong with him. I'm just saying that is just the nature, unfortunately, of this individualistic environment that we're in as black folks, and one that we succumb to. Always have a hedge, or like the movie The Heat, always have an out. I'll pass the mic. I hope that helps.
That does help. One of the things that I liked about some of the Tontines is that they paid for their people to get skills, like to learn investments and to come back and teach it to the group, to learn real estate and to come use that as an asset for the group, to learn something and to use or to open a business and to use that money for the group, the profits for the group. So we have to learn how we can use these financial tools in a benevolent way so that we are benefiting the whole group, because we cannot continue to be on the bottom when people are taking our ideas and they are using them for their benefit and their uplift. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, and listen, I'll say this, and this is why I got all the respect for MD2, as a real elder. He would be like, yo, stop talking back, boy. I'm my elder, listen to me. That's why he's a real elder, because he, like, what I'm saying, you're supposed to and lets the young people learn from experience, but also going to be like, no, listen, and then make sure, like, a real woman who understands stuff and just, like, has so much knowledge and gives the information, and y'all are 100% right, and both of y'all have a lot of expertise in this field, you know. And I'll just say this though, right? Like, and I don't really compare like with the stores and stuff, because all of them other groups, like for whatever they like, the Asians get funding, and like, it's no excuse though. I'm not saying it's an excuse, right? Because when we was talking about back when George Floyd and you could say pick any one of them, when happened at a store, right? Because the George Floyd joint, it was the Palestinian dude who called the police. You know, you get the stores shut down, and we was talking about the whole co-op thing. You know, you have the store who is in the co-op, so there's no excuse, right? You can be like, listen, nobody's going into the store. Like, really, you can get, but you don't have to get gangster with it. You know what I'm saying? You can just be like, nobody's going into this store, and then you make sure the store stays in the community, all right? And it's, you can make it community based, or see, that's the thing with the community based stores, or you know, you can play it by however it goes. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's still like, it's no excuse for what we do. You know what I'm saying? I just don't compare like with other groups, you know, but it's the mentality that we have that y'all are correct about. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to put it. I'm just saying, like, the mentality of other groups, because I do think it is beneficial, right? Because you can see like, okay, well, and that's the thing, first and foremost, you do have to like get stuff done. Like, this person has got this accomplished, you know what I'm saying? And even though we talk about the money in our community, we know is less. And of course, we're not in control of our water. We go to work just to pay bills, and so many Negroes just like, oh, I'm only worried about the game. You know, they talk about Kyrie Irving and how they're so mad, but they still pay for the NBA package. You know, I don't know. I'm just rambling, so I'm gonna stop right there. I don't know.
No, please go. Please keep going, because I'm digging this. I mean, like I said, you young guys, I dig you guys, because you got me thinking. You young folks got me thinking like crazy. I mean, I learned more from you guys than you probably could ever learn from me. I mean, I'm sitting here digging it. I just like to say that, you know, like, for instance, the projects that I have, I've never charged for anything. As I should, but I never will, and I never can. Okay. The reason is unless I bring you value, unless, you know, I can just sit in and tell folks, yeah, you know, I'll teach you this, and, you know, and I'll make you this kind of money and this and that and the other. And I'm like, no, unless I can first I have to bring myself value. Next thing, I have to bring you value. That's why I've never charged for what I do when I'm showing markets and everything else. A lot of folks are out there charging you whatever monthly fee. My parents told me at one time, you got to charge. You can't keep doing this and just giving folks stuff out. I said, unless I bring value. If they don't have an arbitrage or a hedge in case I can't bring value, then what I'm doing is not going to be good for them. And it would blow your mind how many times folks have been begging me and asking me, hey, show me what you know. How much do you want for it? I had production managers. Hey, man, how much could you teach me? I'm like, no, I won't do that. Not because I like them. It's just because that is not my intention. My intention is to inspire and hopefully educate, so I can learn from you guys. I could educate of what I know, my knowledge, or what little it is of markets or whatever else. So therefore, I'm passing it on to give others. But if I cannot bring you value, I cannot do this. I have to bring myself value first. Then I have to make sure you have value. And in case I come up short, you have a hedge that you were able to exploit and do well in case what I'm doing does not work. A lot of our folks, Brother Forecast, don't do that, because my thing is, the last thing I want is for folks not to make money, or not to have opportunity, or have access, or have connections, or whatever else. If I'm not bringing that to you, and I'm not coming up with, you know, if I fail to go ahead and deliver, I want to make sure that something else will deliver for the individuals that are looking for me to deliver. Okay, so therefore they're not saying, well, I know that you tried your best, but it didn't work, like that Larry Graham song. You know, I tried my best, but my best wasn't good enough. I want to make sure that one in a million becomes a million in a million for the folks that are out there for me. A lot of our folks don't think that way. Again, it's an individualistic situation. So that's why I don't, you know, but it's like I said, you guys teach me more than I could ever teach you. And the reason I say that is because anyone that is older should, you know, and to be an elder, you must not be an older. And the way to do that is to listen to the younger. Okay, that the younger are what makes elders elder, because the elders actually listen and learn from the younger. So the thing is hopefully whatever you invest in, or whatever products or programs that you guys are putting together, that literally you are bringing so much value that even the folks that aren't on the same page ideologically, spiritually, or even ethnically, or whatever else, those folks see what you're doing that is bringing so much value to yourselves, number one, and to the community, number two, that they're saying, how can I get in? And I want in now, and who do I have to kill to get there? That's the mentality, or that's the thing that you have, no matter what program it is, whatever investment that it is. It could be a Tontine, it could be a Susu, it could be whatever form that it is. Whatever you're doing is bringing something that is bringing everybody else, like seagulls to a popcorn, or popcorn to a seagull, to where they'll kill the other seagulls to get to. Not to say you want them. It's just that what you're doing is bringing value. And that's literally what, any YouTube video I post is not necessarily just to make folks feel good or have a certain form of emotional outlook or release or validation. My thing is, I need to bring value to you so you can actually compete and go against these other folks that own and control us. Anyways, I'll pass the mic. I just wanted to give you, just a little heads up.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that all of us should be doing, is bringing value to one another. We should all be at the point where we are willing to give something of value to the community. I like Forecast broadcast. I like MG2's broadcast. I like KW. I like Koku's Bitter Medicine broadcast. I like APTV's broadcast. I think that all of these different shows are the inoculation against what we are experiencing here in this white hegemonic society. I think that we have to get to the point where we first understand what value is, because MG2 dropped some terms on me tonight, like arbitrage and collateralizing and hedging, that I need to do some more research on and look into a little bit more, so that I can better understand those terms when it comes to organizing an institution that is going to be financially viable for us as a people. The Forecast is sitting here, and he has tried to organize some of these, and he's done a lot of legwork when it comes to getting them off the ground and trying to get people together, but he has low participation, probably because people see the initial benefit of something like that, but they don't see their immediate value. One of the things I wanted to say is that people believe in the American dream, but it's really a nightmare. And for as long as you are sleeping, it's going to always stay an elusive dream that you can never achieve. But if you wake up, then you'll be able to compete and to conserve your people if you wake up.
No, yeah, that's all facts, and I'll say this, y'all are 100% correct in what y'all are saying, and I agree with everything you're saying, and I wouldn't even say all of that like I put in like a bunch of legwork or nothing. Like, no, it's like I ain't do enough yet. You know what I'm saying? I got to do more stuff, and do better and learn from my experiences and other people's experiences, and learn how to listen when I'm supposed to listen and not listen when I'm not supposed to listen. So I can't blame anybody else, because I like how meticulous matron really is, because like I'll do it before, like years ago, like when I try to do it, she'd be like, ask a question, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, what about this? Oh, I don't know. It's a lot of things that I realize, like I have to be meticulous, especially about this area, before you just do it. Of course, you can still always try to do something for the community. If you see something going on, like if there's a school that's going down, you can try. And there's nothing wrong with trying, and there's nothing wrong with like failing either. You know what I'm saying? Because you learn lessons from all of these things. And it's the point of to not get discouraged or to blame anybody else, but to keep trying and to keep going. So that's why I appreciate, even though I said all of the stuff that I say, it's not that I disagree with y'all. It's just that I say my point of view too. So I appreciate all of the information and y'all taking the time to do this, and for you, Matron, letting me come on here and speak, and even answering the question about a Tontine anyway, because that whole thing was an education, and y'all should definitely listen to the beginning presentation over and over because that was like on point. That was really good information. So I definitely appreciate both of y'all. So thank you.
Well, I
Yeah, I gotta
appreciate
thank you
you.
guys, man. 10 times more than anything because I mean, again, I've learned so much. Every day's I'm like a little child learning from what you guys are telling me. And Matron, I do appreciate you. Definitely. Just the form alone. Just to educate. I mean, it's 10 times worth the value folks even can even imagine or dream. And the thing is I'm hoping more. If you see in the environment the Europeans and their ilk are in right now, especially in their so-called wars, economic and otherwise, we have the greatest opportunity right now to do whatever we want, and it's not and to think and do outside of their craziness. Okay, because it's crazy. I mean, I've been up all, I was up all night last night watching the crazy, and this morning it just went buck wild. It's almost as somebody gave us all lotto tickets, not lotto tickets in terms of money. The African people on this world have been given lotto tickets in terms of, oh, now we see the collapse of our enemies, our competitors. We're seeing them literally run themselves into a wall. I hope we spend these lotto tickets wisely. I mean, just look at all you got to do is open your eyes and see how crazy it is. And even on your own neighborhoods, to see the shoveled white folks walking up and down the street and others, they're losing on all fronts that they've brought to themselves. This is the greatest opportunity we have right now. All I could say is strike while the iron is hot. No matter where you are, who you are, as long as you're black, strike like you've never struck before, like the iron is hot, because it's great. I mean, we're in a renaissance. Use it wisely. Thank you guys so much, and I'll go ahead and listen offline.
Well, thank you, MG2. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm going to go through the comments. When we were talking earlier, APTV said, it can be an answer, but the reality is trust issues. He agreed with my perspective of that. He says some things just aren't meant to be. Sister Ross said, we never knew anything about it, but we would send. And I thank you and appreciate you and the elders for every gift you send and every ounce of support you give to this broadcast. APTV says, as long as you tribe up, it can work. But as a whole, meaning Black folks or African Americans, it would never work because we don't trust one another. A community cannot exist without emotional safety and trust. He says, APTV also says, ADOS and FBA are an example of that. Exactly, because they don't want to be a part of the whole. And then there was a situation with Bakari and the money and some books. And she says, Bakari, much money with the words for we endeavors. And it was a waste of money, seen. And then she says, big ups to the spaceman. Yes, thank you, spaceman, for coming on our show. Forecast, did you have anything else you wanted to say or anything else you wanted to talk about? Because I want to make sure that I'm answering the question and that I'm talking through this issue of trying to organize a tontine, whether we do it here online or we do it collectively offline or we do it in our family units. I want to make sure that I'm answering the question and that we have a firmer understanding of what it is or how we can use it or what we can do with it.
No, yeah, you answered actually your presentation answered all of the questions for real. The last one, I was just like getting clarity, like to more in depth, but your presentation answered everything. So no, you answered all of the questions that I have, and I appreciate you even taking the time to do this and all of that. So like, no, you are super smart. So I appreciate and I value your opinion and like what you have to say about stuff, and I learned a lot from you. So like, no, I definitely appreciate the education. So no, I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in today. I know that Anthony McPhail is listening. I know that Koku from the Bitter Medicine Podcast is listening. I know that Bawana Haguziki is listening. I know that Oni Tase is listening. I want to thank Sister Raw and the elders listening with her, MG2 who graced my panel, and I want to thank APTV Keys and the forecast. And yes, you listener, even you, I appreciate and value each and every one of you for being here. And I will see you Monday at 7 p.m. where we will read The African Personality in America. We're going to finish that book, and I have 4 pages worth of extra notes. So Monday is going to be a long broadcast. We're going to be here for a long time on Monday. It's going to start at 7. I expect us to be done by 9:30, which is a little long for us, maybe even 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you then, guys. Peace.
Peace, y'all.